Hello and welcome back to the Real Deal podcast with Suzanne and Sarah. We are back at it today and we're excited to share some updates on what's been happening in our transactions and our client conversations and just share a little peek behind the curtain of what happens on real estate transactions that you may not otherwise hear about.
Yeah, this is fun stuff for other agents to hear about who, might be just doing one or two transactions a month or less, and other people that are out there wondering what the crazy Ben market's like. This is the time of year where we really ramp up and, have a lot of balls in the air. And I think it's, every transaction is different. Every client is different. And I think it's really fun to share some of the highlights. So I hope you enjoy.
Yes. Well, one thing that we wanted to share with you is it's important to work with an agent who tells you like it is and doesn't sugarcoat things, because sometimes people think they want to sell and sometimes it's not in their best interest. And that goes against how we make money, right? We're not here to, we're here to help people sell and buy houses, right? But we're also here to help people make the right decisions according to their goals. So we have a couple stories of clients that we've worked with recently where this has come up. And so one of those is some sellers that just closed. So they ended up selling their house. But when we first met and I talked to them and they were like, Suzanne, please help us. We want to sell our house. I looked at them and I said, I do not think you should sell your house. Look, you have a $1,900 a month mortgage, taxes and insurance included. You have a VA loan at 2.25%. You have a house that has a ton of equity that you could pull out and do something else with, or buy the next house that you want to buy. I don't think you should sell your house. I think you should rent it. I mean, these folks knew that they wanted to move out of the area. They wanted to move back to a community where they felt more established, and they wanted to move to a school district that aligned with their priorities. So, they knew they wanted to move. And so I sent them down the path of like, let's explore renting your house first. And that was not what they expected to hear from a realtor. Obviously, like I said, we make money from helping people buy and sell houses. We make clients and relationships for life by telling people the truth about their situation and about other options they might want to consider before selling your house. And the reason is once you sell, there's no going back. And for some people, that's okay. But for some people, I think it's also really important to explore other options before putting the sign in the yard and getting the home up on the market.
Yeah. And if you're wondering why people call us the real deal, this is one of those reasons. Suzanne had a conversation like that with another seller today who's looking for some advice, and she had some really good feedback for him. And he went from being pretty certain he wanted to put his home on the market as soon as possible to taking a few steps back and really thinking things through. So if you're looking for someone who wants to give you an honest, or who's is here to give you an honest opinion, that's us. We're not here just to take your money and run.
Right.
So
Yeah. And like I
yeah.
said, sorry, just to finish off that
Yeah.
story, the folks that wanted to move away and who had the VA loan on their house, super low monthly payment, ultimately they came back and they said, we explored the rental option. We don't want to be landlords. We are ready to cut and run. List our house for us. And we did,
Yeah.
and we sold it, and they're happy, and they left no stone unturned. They will never have regrets because they looked at other options. They considered alternatives, and they know that they made the right decision in selling their house, but they didn't do it hastily. And I think that that's the most important thing, just like the conversation today. Once I met with this potential seller, he told me, he's like, I don't really want to sell this house, but I want the equity. I want my equity to be able to help tide me over, because he's going from a W-2 job to entrepreneurship. And he wants to make sure that he's got income while he builds up his business. Well, to me, the easy answer was pull out a HELOC, access your money, but then you only pay for whatever you use. And so then you still own your asset. you still have your 3.1% interest rate on this house, and you can sell it later if you decide that you really need access to that equity without putting debt against the house. And he was just like, oh my gosh, how did I not think about this? This is a great idea. So it was a really wonderful conversation to have with the seller, because like him, I've weighed whether I want to sell some of my rental houses, and I'm in the same boat, like many sellers out there, prospective sellers, where you've got this asset, the house, and another asset, which is your low interest rate mortgage. So TBD on what happens there, but just another example of how we do share the real deal with our clients and prospective clients on what we think their other options are.
Yeah, we're problem solvers inside and outside of transactions. Absolutely. Yeah, so we're deep into a transaction with a buyer coming up on closing actually this week. And as we do with, all of our new clients, new buyers, when we bring them into our sphere, we talk to them about their financing solutions, and we offer them our trusted contacts, people that we work with regularly, that we trust, that we've done multiple deals with, that we see bring things from start to finish every single day, right? People that are true partners and part of our team. We consider them part of our team, even though they're not, directly part of our team, right? So we introduced this buyer to one of our lender contacts. They helped this buyer get pre-approved, go under contract. They, I don't think there was really any red flags that I heard, any negative feedback, getting them to the point that they were at, which is under contract. But this buyer and his partner were visiting their local bank. For some reason, they decided to make a switch to their local bank. Maybe they were a little bit more old school. Maybe they wanted to be able to sit down at this desk locally where they're moving from. Totally get it. The deal with making changes to your lending in transactions mid-transaction once you're under contract is you can't change your financing terms, right? So you can't change your loan amount, your down payment, the type of loan you have, right? So whether it's conventional or whatever, DSCR, FHA, without the seller's approval. And obviously any changes that you make can't affect anything that's in the contract, right? Your closing date, your timeline for ordering an appraisal, all the above. So it's okay if people want to make changes with their lenders mid-transaction or partially way through their transaction, as long as none of that is affected. So, it's not our job to tell people who to work with. We just make sure that people are protected in their contracts. So this buyer did decide to change lenders about a week into their transaction. And I just wanted to share, we've heard from this client on a couple of occasions now how much they regret making this move. And, I've seen it from a high level, just in terms of lack of communication from this new lender, lack of systems, really lack of a direct line, someone that almost doesn't seem like they do this for a living to some degree. And really the comment that stuck with me when I was on the phone with this client the other day is they said to me, Sarah, do you know how many times blank you picked up the phone when I called them? It was not 90% of the time. It was 100% of the time. And don't
This was
tell
the person
him.
that we had recommended to,
Yes.
to the buyer.
Yeah. And don't tell him, but I regret making this move. Like, I will never work with X bank again, the one that they moved to. And, I'm really sorry that I made this move. So here's the deal. Like, we work with the people and we recommend the people that we work with to our clients for a reason. They're people, like I said in the beginning, that are vetted, that we can stand behind. And again, not everybody's personalities are for everyone, and that's part of the matchmaking process, and we get that. But this is transactional, right? And we like, our main priority is for you to get the best rate, and actually close the deal, right? And have someone who you can actually get on the phone and communicate with, and who's actually there and has skin in the game too for you. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure totally what the point of this story is, except for just the fact that, like, listen,
Things aren't
listen to
always
what,
as they seem,
yeah,
and
yeah, the grass is
and I
always
think,
greener, right?
yeah, exactly. And I think maybe what did happen initially is, some of the folks that we recommend are extremely creative, and they think outside of the traditional lending box. And they came up with some really interesting and creative solutions for this buyer, but it was a little bit out of their comfort zone. And I think they got nervous. They're a different generation where going in to talk to your banker is the norm. And even though their experience has been that their banker never picks up the phone and the person we introduce them to does, they learned a tough lesson. And it was, for us, I would say, also validating to hear their feedback after having made this decision, because of course our trusted partner was like, what happened? And that they always come to us because, of course nobody wants to lose a client, but we know that not everybody is the right fit. So it was just really validating for us to know that, hey, we are recommending people that do the work, that pick up the phone, that get things done, and that do come up with creative solutions that your traditional banker likely does not.
Thank you for bringing up that point, because I feel like we're dealing with this with a couple of clients right now where, again, just like trust us, trust the professionals, and trust the process. Again, like this is what we do every single day. And just because a suggestion that we make, might seem, like Suzanne said, outside the box, like a higher level, then you can wrap your brain around, like ask questions where, people are making suggestions because we truly believe, in our experience, that this is what's going to benefit you the most. So don't let something, just because you don't understand it, create, unnecessary fear. Just ask more questions, right? And then make an educated decision from there. Yeah,
Agreed.
what else we got? What else fun stuff? So, oh, I know. Yeah, we've got a fourplex under contract that we've been trying to sell for, feels like
Over
years
a
now,
year.
Suzanne.
Yes, we finally found the right client for the right property. But it was interesting because a couple things were really interesting about this client. This person had been getting our real deal emails for 4 years. So that means Sarah and I have been sending weekly emails that we write for 4 years. And he was getting them. And he called us earlier this year and was like, I'm finally ready. I'm like, okay. And he explained what he wanted. And he said, look, I want rental income. And so I want a single family home that I can put 2 ADUs on that I can rent out. And I was like, okay, let's go look at a property. So I found one that I thought could be a good fit. And we went and looked at it, and he had done the research on, setbacks and all the things. And so we looked at it. And when I started digging deeper and asking more questions, I understood really, truly what his goal was, which was to have a place to live for himself and his family and have rental income. Well, ADUs, if you don't know, cost a minimum of $150,000 a piece. And the ROI on those things is at least 5 years, once you get them rented out. But you have to go through the permitting process. You have to go through all the city hoops and all the things. And those things can take a lot of time. Like he was looking at least a year to get one in place. And so once we started talking, I said, I think what you really want is a small multifamily where you and your family can live and you have rental income coming in. Small multifamily meaning duplex, triplex, fourplex, anything under 5 units. And he was like, actually, you're right. So I showed him one house and then Sarah sold him a fourplex.
My favorite fourplex that we've been trying to sell forever, with one real stubborn seller. But the numbers make sense for this guy. And yeah, I'm excited to, get him into it for the first time this week. He's under contract. We're moving forward with inspections, and he'll be closing hopefully in 45 days.
Yeah. So just another lesson for us and for all of you listening. People think they know what they want. They think they want to sell because they want access to cash, right? They think they want to have a house with 2 ADUs because they want to have rental income, but they may not know about other alternatives like using a HELOC to access equity instead of selling, or buying a small multifamily instead of building ADUs and you burning through a ton of cash in order to do that, and a ton of time as well. So that's our job, is to be really good listeners, to be curious, ask lots of questions, and really get to the heart of what people's goals are, because oftentimes they don't really know.
It's definitely a journey. We see people come to us with one idea and leave with another, and that's one of the most fulfilling parts of what we do is because we get to hold your hand through the process and yeah, grow together. So, anyways, we hope you enjoyed this little bit of a candid commentary from us on a few of the things we've got circulating in escrow right now and in our buying and selling world. Yeah, Ben market is doing what it does. Lots of activity out there right now. So yeah, when you're ready, we would love to hear your story, hear your goals, help you think through what you think you know, and yeah, help you get curious.
Yes, and leave no stone unturned. That's our goal. No regrets. Make sure that you're actually getting what it is you truly want instead of what you just think you want. So, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast, the Real Deal podcast with Suzanne and Sarah. We will be back with you again soon to talk about our upcoming meetup event for investors and also all kinds of other fun things that we'd love to share with you too. So if you like this episode, please like and subscribe. If you want to hear something else or if you have any comments for us, please let us know in the comments. We would love to hear what it is you'd like to hear more of or less of so that we can give you what is most interesting. So thank you so much. We'll see you next time.